Alex, Brighton, people are asking already, are Brighton going to shift their stance on Moises Caicedo and sell to Chelsea?
Well, they're not going to shift their asking price. We know that. They didn't want to sell him in January for any price. And Arsenal tried. And Caicedo's advisors tried to force him out of the club. That didn't work. We know that Chelsea overnight or yesterday had an £80 million bid, rejected immediately,
80 million, Darragh.
as soon as it landed in Tony Bloom's inbox. So he will stick to his price. And actually, the sense I'm getting from speaking to people close to Brighton, the more that Chelsea try and buy Caicedo for what they perceive to be under his market value, the more I think Tony Bloom will dig his heels in, not just in terms of the asking price, but he might just in the end say, do you know what? We're not selling him.
Yeah. Tony Bloom's somebody you admire, isn't he, Dan?
Love the Bloom brothers. Love what they've done with that club. Very shrewd operators. Paul Barber, one of the good CEOs. You know, they've had some great people there. Your only concern would be, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, they had this last season. You know, obviously a lot of clubs room for their players. They're now getting it again this summer, and they always get top dollar. That's what you love about Brighton, because Bloom's got big pockets and he's got big minerals, so you can just go, nah, give me 100 or he ain't going. Their only issue is the recruitment is phenomenal. As they go on the next wave of recruitment this summer and next year, will the agents of some of those players see these events the last couple of windows and go, do you know what? We might need to get a release clause put in some of the contracts here.
Yeah.
Because
to get my man out.
Correct. Because, you know, because you also get that sometimes. We've had that over the years where I hold firm on prices and we've gone after some young players and the agents have gone, you always drive a hard bargain. You always try and get top dollar. Well, we want a release clause and we want a percentage of any future transfer fee. So your success sometimes could end up punishing you. But I've got no doubt Bloom and co at Brighton, that wouldn't bother them, because everything they seem to do is sprinkled with gold dust.
Yeah. I'm just looking there. There's one message. If Chelsea are willing to pay 80, why don't they just go to 100? At what point did Chelsea walk away, do you think, Darragh?
At some stage, the owners of Chelsea have to learn from last season, and I think they are slowly but surely learning, where they would say to the new manager, look, we were rinsed and had our jocks pulled down last season. And, you know, it was hardcore. And we end up overpaying a lot of the time. The Argentinian boy, you know, some of the players they paid 100,
Cucurella.
Yeah, Cucurella was a 60 million, whatever. So I would imagine at a principle to send a message out there, a bit like what United are trying to give the illusion they're doing this summer, Alex, that, you know, they're not going to get hauled over the coals. Chelsea have probably said, no, we're not going to 100 in this one. It's 80 or we move on. So that's the takeaway time.
It's part of the issue here with Chelsea, and you've alluded to it already, that they've proved themselves since Todd Boehly came in to be utterly hopeless negotiators. They have paid over the odds for players. They have had their pants pulled down, and Brighton thinking, do you know what? You paid over 100 million quid for Enzo Fernandez. Caicedo is worth just as much.
There's that, and there's obviously the Declan Rice transfer, and there'd be Brighton thinking, well, okay, let's look at Caicedo, and let's look at the transfers you've just said there that Chelsea bought before, throw Declan Rice in the batch and go, what is he worth? You know, this guy's in the prime of his career. What is he, 23? And I apologise if I've got his age wrong. But, you know, he's young, so you're going to have 7-8 years of upside, the best years of his career. So Chelsea have to make a decision. Don't let it drag on. The thing I hate is the drag on. This has gone on for like now already through the window.
They've wanted him since the window opened.
They have. So just go back and say, look, line in the sand, 80 plus 20 in add-ons based on us winning the league, blah, 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 or tomorrow we move on. And then just move on.
Yes.
And that's the best way. That's the only way. Now, Brighton, on the other hand, will probably say, well, that's fine. We don't need the money. We've taken over 200 million the last few seasons. We're not in any financial fair play issues. We'll keep him for another year or 6 months.
For sure. What doesn't help Chelsea is that the newly appointed manager, Mauricio Pochettino, overnight was saying, do you know what? Something needs to happen because there is a bit of an imbalance with the squad. Have a listen.
What we cannot is to have a massive squad, big squad, with players that maybe cannot be involved, and then it's going to create a mess on the squad. We need to, maybe less is more than more, and more is less. Sometimes, you know, it's no mathematic. That is why I need to make clear that we don't need a big squad. We need 22, 23, 24 players with some younger, you know, and that's it. I am so sorry because maybe the decision will be tough, but, you know, we need to build a good and a balanced team if we want to compete for big things.
You see, Brighton know that Chelsea are a bit desperate, Alex, because in their squad at the moment they've only got 2 recognised midfielders. So something's got to give here. I'm just wondering in probability what the end game is going to be before a ball is kicked.
Well, Chelsea have got a precedent under Todd Boehly of paying what clubs want, of bowing to demands.
Last year.
Yeah. So unless they're going to change, change that approach,
I think they have.
You think they have?
100%.
So you think they'll walk away?
Look at this.
I think they have to sign Caicedo. He's Pochettino's top target. You've mentioned already their two senior midfielders are Enzo Fernandez, who's still unproven in the Premier League, Conor Gallagher, who for me is a good player. Is he a top 4 player? Is he a player who's going to get Chelsea challenging for the Premier League title? Not in my opinion. Caicedo would be a transformative signing for Chelsea. He's the one that Pochettino wants. They've invested in some young up-and-coming players. Nicholas Jackson's had a good pre-season, but there's a difference between playing Wrexham in pre-season and playing Liverpool in the Premier League on the first day of the proper season. I think he needs Caicedo, Pochettino. I think he's a great manager. At the moment, I think he's been left short-handed with an imbalanced squad.
And you're saying they've got to get him Chelsea?
I think so, yeah.
In defence of Chelsea, and I said it the other day, they had a rough first year ownership-wise. I think they've learned. I think they've put in some good people in the football director and technical area. They were very patient with the Pochettino deal. That took a while to get done. They've been very patient with the signings going out during the summer and coming in. I don't think they're going to go down last year's route. I think they want Caicedo. He's the number 1 target for the summer. I'm not sure. I'd be amazed if they went and did it again and spent 100-odd million or overpaid. Let's see. But I agree with Alex. They need a couple of players in that area because it is lopsided. But I think the owners, year 2, Chelsea are going to be a bit of a dark horse this year for me. I think everyone's written them off based on the mistakes of last year. It's a mistake.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.